Hi Mark, my name is Joy. My student number is S0441015. I'm a freshman in NCUE. I'm going to deliver a speech titled How My Mind Came Back to Life, and no one knew. Imagine being unable to say, I'm hungry, and an implant, thank you, or I love you, being trapped inside your body, a body that doesn't respond to command, surrounded by people yet utterly alone, wishing you could reach out to connect, to confront, to participate. For 30 long years, that was my reality. Most of everything twice about talking, about communicating. I had thought a lot about it. I had a lot of time to think. For the first 12 years of my life, I was a normal, happy, healthy little boy. Then everything changed. I contracted a brain infection. The doctor wasn't sure what it was, but they treated me the best they could. However, I progressively got worse. Eventually, I lost my ability to control my movement, make eye contact, and finally, my ability to speak. While in hospital, I desperately wanted to go home. I said to my mother, when home, those were the last words I ever spoke with my own voice. I would eventually fail every test for mental awareness. My parents were told I was as good as nothing, a vegetable having the intelligence of a 3-month-old baby. They were told to take me home and try to keep me comfortable until I died. My parents, in fact my entire family life, became consumed by taking care of me the best they knew how. Their friends drifted away. One still turned to 3. It seemed like the person I once was began to disappear. The Lego block and electronic circuit I had learned as a boy were put away. I had been moved out of my bedroom into another, more practical one. I had become a ghost, a faint memory of a bad boy people once knew and loved. Meanwhile, my mind began knitting itself back together. Gradually, my awareness started to return, but no one realized that I had come back to life. I was aware of everything, just like any normal person. I could see and understand everything, but I couldn't find a way to let anybody know. My personality was entombed within a seemingly silent body, a vibrant mind hidden in plain sight within a chrysalis. The stark reality hit me that I was going to spend the rest of my life locked inside myself, totally alone. I was trapped with only my dog for company. I would never be rescued. No one would ever show me tenderness. I would never talk to a friend. No one would ever love me. I had no dream, no hope, nothing to look forward to. Well, nothing pleasant. I lived in fear, and to put it bluntly, was waiting for death to finally release me, expecting to die all alone in a care home. I don't know if it's truly possible to express in what it's like not to be able to communicate. Your personality appears to vanish into a heavy fog, and all of your emotion and desire are constricted, stifled, and mute within you. For me, the worst was the feeling of utter powerlessness. I simply existed. It's a very dark place to find yourself because, in a sense, you have vanished. Other people control every aspect of my life. They decided what I ate and when, whether I was dead on my side or strapped into my wheelchair. I often spend my day positioned in front of the TV watching Barney rerun. I think because Barney is so happy and jolly, and I absolutely wasn't, it made it so much worse. I was completely powerless to change everything in my life or people's perception of me. I was a silent, invisible observer of how people behave when they don't know one was watching. Unfortunately, I wasn't only an observer with no way to communicate. I became a perfect victim, a defenseless object, seemingly devoid of feeling that people used to play out their darkest desire. For more than 10 years, People who trust with my care abused me physically, verbally, and sexually. Despite what they do, I did feel the first time it happened. I was shocked and filled with disbelief. How could they do this to me? I was confused. What had I done to deserve this? Part of me wanted to cry and the other part wanted to fight. Hurt, sadness, and anger flooded through me. I felt worthless. There was no one to confront me, but neither of my parents knew this was happening. I lived in terror, knowing it would happen again and again. I just never knew when. All I knew was that I would never be the same. I remember once listening to Whitney Houston singing, "No matter what they take from me, they can take away my dignity." And I thought to myself, "You want to bet? Perhaps my parents could have found out and could have helped." But the years of constant caretaking, having to wait every 2 hours to turn me, combined with them essentially grieving the loss of their son, had taken a toll on my mother and father. Following yet another heated argument between my parents, in a moment of desperation, my mother turned to me and told me that I should die. I was shocked, but as I thought about what she had said, I was filled with enormous compassion and love for my mother, yet I could do nothing about it. There were many moments when I get up, sinking into a dark abyss. I remember one particularly low moment. My dad left me alone in a car while he quickly went to buy something from the store. A random stranger walked past, looked at me, and he smiled. I might never know why, but that simple act, the fleeting moment of human connection, transformed how I was feeling, making me want to keep going. My existence was tortured by monotony, a reality that was often too much to bear. Along with my dog, I construct intricate fantasy about ants running across the floor. I tell myself to tell the time by noticing where the shadow were. As I learned how the shadow moved as the hour of the day passed, I understood how long it would be before I was picked up and taken home. Seeing my father walk through the door to collect me was the best moment of the day. My mind became a tool that I could use to either close down or retreat from my reality, or enlarge it into a gigantic space that I could fill with fantasy. I hoped that my reality would change and someone would see that I had come back to life, but I had become washed away like a sandcastle built too close to the wave, and in my place was the person people expect me to be. To some I was Martin, a vacation, the vegetable, deserving of harsh work, dismissal, and even abuse. To others, I was a tragically brain-damaged boy who had grown to become a man, someone that was kind and cared for. Good or bad, I was a blank canvas onto which different versions of myself were projected. It took someone new to see me in a different way, and a roadmap therapy began coming to the care house about once a week, whether through intuition or her attention to detail that others failed to notice. She became convinced that I could understand what was being said. She urged my parents to hand my tests by experts in enigmatic and alternative communication, and within a year, I was beginning to use a computer program to communicate. It's exhilarating, but frustrating at times. I had so many words in my mind that I couldn't wait to be able to share them. Sometimes I would say things to myself simply because I could. In myself, I had a ready audience, and I believed that by expressing my thought and wish, others would listen too. But as I began to communicate more, I realized that it was in fact only just the beginning of creating a new voice for myself. I was thrust into a world I didn't quite know how to function in. I started going to the care home and managed to get my first job making for photocopy. As simple as this may sound, it was amazing. My new work was really exciting but often quite overwhelming and frightening. I was like a mentor, and as liberating as it often was, I struggled. I also learned that many of those who had known me for a long time found it impossible to abandon the idea of Martin they had in their head, while those I had only just met struggled to look past the image of a silent man in a wheelchair. I realized this. Some people would only listen to me if what I said was in line with what they expected. Otherwise, it was disregarded and they did what they felt was best. I discovered that true communication is about more than merely physically conveying a message. It is about getting the message heard and respected. Still, things were going well. My body was slowly getting stronger. I had a job in computing that I loved, and had even got co-jet, the dog I had been dreaming about for years. However, I longed to share my life with someone. I remember staring out the window as my dad drove me home from work, thinking I had so much love inside me and nobody to give it to. Just I had resigned myself to being single for the rest of my life. I met Jo. Not only is she the best thing that has ever happened to me, but Jo helped me to challenge my own misconception about myself. Jo said it was through my work that she fell in love with me. However, after all I had been through, I still couldn't shake the belief that nobody could truly see beyond my disability and accept me for who I am. I also really struggled to comprehend that I was a man. The first time someone referred to as a man, it stopped me in my tracks. I feel like looking around and asking who me. That all changed with John. We had an amazing connection, and I learned how important it is to communicate openly and honestly. I feel sad, and it gave me the confidence to truly say what I do. I started to feel whole again, a man worthy of love. I began to reshape my destiny. I spoke up a little more and more. I asserted my need for independence to the people around me. Being given a means of communication changed everything. I used the power of word and will to challenge the preconception of those around me and those I had of myself. Communication is what made us human, enabling us to connect on the deepest level with those around us, telling our own story, expressing want, need, and desire, or hearing those of others by really listening. All this is how the world knows who we are, so who are we without it? True communication increases understanding and creates a more caring and compassionate world. Once I was perceived to be an inanimate object, a mindless phantom of a boy in the wheelchair. Today I am also much more: a husband, a son, a friend, a brother, a business owner, a first-class honor graduate, a keen amateur photographer. It is my ability to communicate that has given me all this. We are told that actions speak louder than words, but I wonder, do let our words, however we communicate them, are just as powerful, whether we speak the word with our own voice, type them with our eyes, or communicate them non-verbally to someone who speaks them for us. Words are among our most powerful tools. I have come to you through a terrible darkness, proof from it by caring so and by language itself. The act of your listening to me today brings me further into the light. We are shining here together. If there is one most difficult obstacle to my way of my communicating, it is that sometimes I want to shout and other times simply to whisper a word of love and gratitude. It all sounds the same, but if you will, please imagine it next to rub as running as you can. Thank